and welcome back to AR77. Today we are looking at the Remington 1911 RAC Tactical. Now I do have another video on the Remington 1911 RAC, but that's the kind of more traditional kind of, I think, World War II version of the 1911. This is obviously a version of a more modern 1911. You can tell that because it doesn't have the kind of extended thing on the back strap here. It's just a straight, more like the more modern 1911s. You've got the kind of grip lines here and at the rear, more akin to the more modern 1911s. And you've got this kind of flared feature here as well. I forgot what they call it off the top of my head. I'm sure you'll be able to tell me. I think, and I'm not sure, but I think these are actually replicas of a Kimber 1911 in the real world. Just judging by these sights, the trigger, this front detail here, yeah, I think these markings are often closer together on 1911s. But there's a particular Kimber that I think this looks a lot like outside of the markings. Same with the sort of skeletonized trigger. So very similar review really to the other 1911. It's all metal. This the slide is metal, the lower is metal, as I think it is with most 1911s. It is one of the ones made by KWC. In fact, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll just pop that up there, and I will reach into this drawer and show you the other one, which is just like that. So both pretty much exactly the same pistol, pretty much exactly the same. This part is different on both. This part is different. Trigger is obviously different, and there's obviously kind of cosmetic details that are slightly different, but they function in exactly the same way. There's no slide on this one, and as I said before, there's this extended bit on the back here, but they function in exactly the same way. Both really nice, both full metal, both blowback CO2 4.5mm ball bearing shooting replica pistols. Plastic grip, that's the only thing that's plastic here. Trigger's metal, hammer's metal. The sights are plastic at the rear. I think it's metal at the front. Let's have a little look down those sights. Really nice on this one, really nice white dots for really easy sight acquisition. For those Coke tins, 7-Up tins or whatever. Unfortunately, you get all that white writing on the side, but as I said before in another video, I think it's not a big deal really to me, that. I prefer it not to be there, but it doesn't spoil my enjoyment of the gun when I'm shooting it, when I'm shooting at the targets and things. Obviously, you've got a bit of a rail on this, so you could put laser if you thought that might be a good idea, or a torch or something like that. Personally, I just like the lines of the pistol itself. I think it looks really nice. I really like the kind of the 1911 platform, so I really like the look of this as it is. Yeah, so there's your magazine. Let me just take the magazine out of the other one as well. As you can see, it's just identical. It's the same thing. So once you've got more than one of these guns, you can effectively, just take one of the pistols out, but a bunch of different magazines. I think I've got 3 different versions of this same pistol, and I often just take the one out into the garden, but magazines from all of them, because they're all identical. They're all exactly the same magazine. All load the same way. You just pull the slide down here, load your BBs in, a little gap there. I don't know if you can see that little gap there. Release that back up to the top. Use your Allen key in the bottom there, release that. Pop your CO2 in there. Again, bit of Pel gun oil on the top of the CO2 cylinder. Move that out of the way. Pop it back into the pistol, and you're good to go. As again I said, full metal. So once that's back, you get a nice click. Take that out. This is just a feature that I think people like to see. Really, you can see through the gun. Feels a bit more authentic. That's why I started making these videos. That's why I'm doing this. Really, just I like the replicas, and these feel really accurate, really kind of authentic, regardless of who actually makes this particular exact shape of 1911. Really nice. Just release that there, put this magazine back in. What else? Safety always. So it is a 1911, so you have the you have that safety there. Nothing's happening there unless that's down, and even if that is down and you pull the trigger, nothing's going to happen there unless you've got the grip safety engaged as well, at which point the hammer will drop. Nice red dot there to show you that that's on fire mode and off safe, and as always, your main safety is your trigger. Just keep that off your finger rather. Don't use a trigger as a safety, that would be a big mistake. Your finger is your main safety, keep that off the trigger until you're ready to shoot. But yeah, really nice pistol. I think about 120 quid, something like that. About 120 quid UK. You'll get 4 or 5 magazines per CO2, although you will begin to drop towards the end of that. What I would tend to do is fire a magazine, take your time in between shots unless you're having a lot of fun, and then you'll give the CO2 a chance to warm back up. And if you've got a couple of magazines, it's good to keep one in your pocket while you're sort of loading the other one up and using the other one, because I think the CO2 operates better when it's at about room temperature, but it will cool down the more you shoot. Feet per second, 300, 320, something like that. Pretty standard, comparable to the other 1911, comparable to the more traditional kind of World War II GI 1911. I do have another one of these as well. I've got a silver one, which is Swiss Arms. Swiss Arms is the branding on it, but again, it's a KWC 1911. So I'll do a video on that at some point because it's just looks quite nice. Really, it's a good looking pistol. Yeah, really nice pistol. This was the first one I ever bought, first air pistol replica I ever bought, and because I like the 1911, not long after I bought this one. And I think they're really nice, really fun to shoot. As long as you're safe, make sure you've got a set of safety glasses, something along those sorts of lines, because those ball bearings do bounce back. So make sure you've got some of those. Make sure you're aware of what you're shooting at and what's behind it. And you've got many years of enjoyment. Yeah, fantastic. Okay, I think that's about it from me. I'll leave that one there, and I'll see you next time.